What's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard, Ballard Sports Media, coming at you with a preview video. I want to get back to doing some of these this month, in the month of April. I know we kind of put it off a little bit and haven't found much time in March, but as we get into April, we get into spring games and stuff, and pretty soon summer will be here, and then eventually the fall. So we would definitely want to get as many of these out as we can and continue looking at college football teams. And why not go to the Big Ten tonight and look at Iowa for 2024 and what they could potentially do this season? I think that they are set up in big ways to make uh, big strides to compete in the Big Ten. But I think it's what's interesting is you get rid of divisions, and now you're having to take the two best teams. And the question for Iowa is, are they one of the two best teams in the Big Ten? I mean, it's it's something I kind of chuckle there, but it's a serious question because Kirk Ferentz has been a head coach for quite some time. He has improved year in and year out. He's had some ups and downs. You just never know what you're going to get out of Iowa, really, honestly. And um, I think the biggest thing for them, you know, they they lose Caden Proctor back to Alabama. Had they kept him, had they held on, that would have been huge. Put him at left tackle, left guard, wherever you want to put him on the offensive line, that would have helped them out so in so many ways. And they have the talent, they have the depth, they really do. And I have seen this offense improve under the past few years, and the defense is always spot on. Thing is, with the new Big Ten schedule, is it enough? Are they going to be able to handle it? And so let's go ahead and look at what they have for 2024. By the way, what they did last year, 10-4 overall, 7-3 in the Big Ten. They lost their last two games to Michigan and Tennessee. Both were shutouts. You can tell, playing up against those bigger offenses, playing late in the year. I mean, it seemed like for a while they had it figured out offensively, but then they were winning games 15-13, 13-10, Illinois and Nebraska, right? I don't know what happened. It seemed like because they even had a game where they put 41 points, and I know it was Western Michigan, but 41 points for Iowa, you'll take it any day you get, right? Anytime you can, you'll take it. So that being said, I don't know what to expect, but it's interesting that they've lost some guys to the portal, especially the loss of Caden Proctor, and it's going to impact them in large ways. I really believe that, and I think that's just how college football works. That being said, I won't bore you with all the details and everything. Let's just go ahead and look into what they have for their schedule here in 2024. Let me go ahead and pull this up here. So you look at 2024, they got the spring game coming up on April 20th, a week after Alabama plays theirs. I just figured I'd throw that out there. I am planning on going to A-Day. Maybe we'll make a video about it or something. Uh, Illinois State should be no problem. Iowa State, the Cy-Hawk Trophy. That's a rivalry game. We'll get back to all that, but big rivalry game. Iowa State we haven't looked at yet. Don't know what to make of them. They play Troy from the state of Alabama. They host them at Kinnick. At Minnesota, get your bye week, which is good timing because they got an interesting stretch here. At Ohio State, Washington, at Michigan State, Northwestern, Wisconsin, UCLA on the road. Get your second bye week, just how the calendar falls, at Maryland and Nebraska. I think this does set up pretty nicely for Iowa. I really do because you look at teams like Ohio State, you look at Washington, you look at who else on here? I mean, you could pick a couple, only a couple teams. I think their first test is always going to be the Iowa State game. Troy is a good team, but it shouldn't be too much for the Hawkeyes to handle. At Minnesota could be interesting. I don't really know what to make of PJ Fleck for this year going into the season. I think that he's kind of one of those up and down coaches. I think they missed a bowl game a couple years ago or this past year, and they had a 10-win season back in 2019. And then they just kind of fell off after that a little bit, but not to mediocrity or anything like that. That's just one of those games for Iowa you're going to have to win. Are they going to have enough to stop? Here's the big question. Just go ahead and throw this out there. The question is, do they have enough to stop the offenses? Right? Because if you stop the offense, we know Iowa can find ways to score a little bit, right? And they're getting to the point where they've been able to score in the 20s or something and not win games like 14-10 or 14-13, whatever, all the time. Like they had a couple good games last year. Like I said, they had 41 points against Western Michigan. They beat Michigan State by 10 points, 26-16. So it you lost to Minnesota last year. You lost to Penn State. You lost to Michigan and Tennessee. Those are good losses. Nobody wants a loss, but it's not like they lose to mediocre teams. Really. I expect Iowa to be a little bit better. I really do. I don't see too much of a drop off, but the thing is, are they going to have what they had last year in play calling? And I don't know. But Minnesota could be tough. Ohio State, I'll just tell you right now, you're not winning in Columbus. It's just not going to happen. Washington, we'll see. But like, I just with Kalen DeBoer out of Washington and with Michael Penix gone, everything for the Huskies and they got to get used to now a Big Ten conference. That's just like, what do you make of that? Because I think that Jed Fish coming from Arizona, I mean, if Washington were staying in the Pac-12, you'd say, "Oh, well, he knows the Pac-12. He'll do okay." Jed Fish comes in, has to go to the Big Ten. I I don't know. I mean, I would think Washington is going to be better than Iowa, but even for Washington, think about all the questions they're going to have. Think about it. I mean, they got Jeremy Bernard back. They got Jabbar Muhammad who transferred. I mean, or comes back. He didn't transfer, but I mean, I could go down the list with like, you know, Washington's a team for a different day. They got to go to Kinnick, get back to Iowa for a second. I don't know what to make of Washington. Now I'm looking at their schedule here. They're coming off a Michigan game before they go to Iowa, and they gotta go to Indiana the week after, or in 2 weeks. They'll have their bye week on the 19th of October, I guess. So back to Iowa, you could definitely win that game, but is Washington going to be a better team? That's a big question to ask. Michigan State up next on the road. Here's the thing. These are games they probably should win, but they could lose. They're traps, they're upsets, they're whatever you want to call them. Northwestern, I don't like Northwestern right now. I think that they are on a struggle bus for the rest of my lifetime, probably. I'm not hoping for it, I would love to see teams like that get better, but I've never really seen Northwestern really do too much. Wisconsin, Luke Fickell, I'm going to give that to Luke Fickell there. Um, UCLA in the Rose Bowl, Maryland. I mean, there's just so many questions about Iowa this year, honestly. And I look at their schedule, and it's somewhat decent. It's somewhat favorable. I'm gonna say for Iowa this year, honestly, at most, what they should do, bring a lot back, come into this season, get prepared in the spring throughout fall camp. I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt and say that you're probably gonna go 10-2 at most, but I would not be surprised. And I'll give you the two losses. Could be Washington and Ohio State, but I'll say this. Don't be surprised if you see Iowa fall off to 7-5 or 8-4. Yeah, I mean, this just is what it is. They went 10-4 last year, made the Big Ten title, lost their. I mean, what did they go? They went 10-2 in the regular season, and then they lost 2 games in the postseason. So that's not bad. It's not the way they wanted to end it. 10-win season is still pretty good though. But like their last win, honestly, was Nebraska in Lincoln. That's their last win. Nebraska. I watched that game. It's a good game. But I mean, you how does that build momentum for this season? I just don't see it. I don't see it. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I'm gonna say 10-2 at most, and if they can manage to get 10 wins, the two losses, like I said, are probably Ohio State and Washington for a 10-2 record. So that's my 2 cents on Iowa this year. I love you guys. Jesus loves you. God bless. We'll get back to doing some of these this month, and we'll keep rolling here at Ballard Sports Media. I'm not going anywhere. I know I haven't done one of these in a while, and I know maybe it seems like I'm slacking, but I'm really busy with school and work and family life, church. I mean, I could go down a whole list. I love you guys. God bless. Stick around. Love y'all.